Everyday girls, where you at? Holla if you hear me. Everyday girls, strike a pose now if you with me. Everyday girls, where you at? Holla if you hear me. Strike a pose now, let get litty. Everyday girls, where you at? Holla if you hear me. Everyday girls, strike a pose now, let get litty. What we gotta say might be different, but we be really out here every day, trying to live it up. We just set the tone and we switch it out the blue. Show up every 24, that's just what we do. Said you need a break, soul sister, here's your invitation. We just made it catch a little phase for your meditation. Let me do it. Everyday girls, where you at? Holla if you hear me. Everyday girls, strike a pose now, let get litty. What we gotta say might be different, but we be really out here every day, trying to live it up. What we doing?
Welcome back to Everyday Girls, where girls just want to laugh, love well, and make lasting connections. We are back. We have not been here in so long.
Yeah.
Since we recorded Yelly's episode, which was how long ago?
A long time ago. And you know what? People be mad.
People be checking for us.
Thank y'all, though. It's greatly appreciated, and it shows us just how impactful we are and how we help people's days along. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, even though it feels like a little bit of pressure when we don't have episodes in the archives, because people be like, hello, when is the next one?
But because some of y'all didn't watch the other episodes that's on the playlist.
Yeah, go back and watch them and catch up and get our views up, even if you got to watch them more than one time. But want to do some check-ins?
Yeah, girl.
Okay, how are we going to do it? You want to do spiritually?
Oh, yeah. We got a new check-in system.
Yeah, we do.
You go first this time.
Spiritually, let's talk about, we've been going to places like conferences. You've been to 2 so far.
Has it been 2?
Yeah, you went to the One Love or First Love. I'm sorry.
Right. That's right.
And then we went to Kelly's. Pastor Kelly with New Joy Divine Church has a women's conference where the theme was live, where we got these awesome crew necks. But between that and, just like I said on a previous episode, really being in like surrender mode and trust mode, I've been just having so much clarity is the word I'll use on my direction, where I'm trying to go, how I'm going to get there. Actually praying, not just saying that I'm praying, and praying in my own way and not how I think it should be done.
Yeah.
So I'm good there. What about you?
Spiritually, I feel the same way. Clarity was a good word.
Mm-hmm.
And trust. And like once you've decided that you're going to surrender to God, and by surrender, if people don't know what that means, it just means throwing up your hands to say, I know now fully, because of all of the circumstances that have happened, that I don't have control over a lot of things. And so I should have been putting it in God's hands in the first place, but now I actually am. And so I let go of trying to figure it out, trying to control everything that's happening to me. And I'm allowing God, who's in control anyway, to take over and to lead and guide me. And so that's my definition of surrender. And I feel like I've had a lot of blessings come, as you guys know, and as we've talked about, but even with that, keeping humility and keeping your hands up. Don't think just because you got a couple blessings and things are going well that things can't shift. You know what I mean? And so just keeping a mind to say, to be humble and to stay surrendered.
And then going along with that, also just a reminder for anybody who needs to hear it, remember that it's okay on the other side, because it always has been. Whatever you've been through, you've gotten through it, and it's not going to be any different for any other challenges that come up. So keeping that at the forefront of possibilities, even when you're going through challenging situations.
That was so good. That just reminded me, I know we got to get to the next check-in, but that just reminded me for Yelly's bridal shower, we had like an intimate family bridal shower, and my auntie Deborah got Yelly this glass jar and a bunch of little papers, and she said, this is your million little miracles jar. And she said, every time something happens, big or small, but specifically small, write it down and put it in the jar, and then open it up a year from then. And a lot of times we forget all the little blessings along the way. You know, a lot of times we're just looking for the big thing or the big change, but that small blessing, like when you didn't have no gas money, and then all of a sudden somebody said they want to bless you and sent you $25, write that in a jar. Like,
Yes.
that is, and things like that just happen that we take for granted, but that's God showing up for us.
That really is. And that also reminded me, we flowing today, of Will Smith's book that I just started, when he opens it up about laying the bricks. His dad, not to tell the book, but basically his dad tasked him and his brother to build this wall that they felt was impossible. They had to show up every day to do it, every day for a year. And he just never thought it was going to end. But the lesson that his dad was trying to teach him, like, it's about the brick, not about the wall. What brick are you laying down today to get
so
to that greater
good.
wall? And so, like you said, not taking the small things for granted, because those are the things that are going to be the imprint in, you know, our path to getting to
Right.
greater.
And before you know it, you got a whole wall, you got a whole house.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good book, by the way, if y'all haven't read it already.
It's been so good to listen to so far on Audible. I love Audible now. That's my new thing. Kristen been telling me for years to get Audible, and I'd be like, okay, girl. And then I did try to get it at one point, but it wasn't working for me. So I gave up again for like another year. And then I'm like, let me just be diligent about getting it to work. And so it finally worked. I'd be so thirsty to get in the car
Yes.
to listen to my storybooks.
It's so good. It take you back to the old days when your mama used to read to you.
It's so good. And I love seeing, because they tell you how long it's going to take for the audio record. I love when my time just be dwindling down. Like,
That's because
I
you're
finished the whole
a
book.
goals oriented
Yes, I
person.
am.
I'll be mad when it's dwindling down.
I be so happy. Like, I finished the whole book. And that's another thing. If you grew up being a reader, like I was a reader when I was younger. I used to get in trouble for staying up late reading books under the covers. And like, now as you get older, you don't have time for that. And so Audible kind of just replaces and replenishes that love for reading and books. And
It does.
It's just awesome.
It does fulfill it.
What are you currently reading?
I'm currently reading a book in my hand, a book called Fervent Prayer, which is just, anyway, it's one of those things where you don't really feel like reading that, but you know that you need it to keep you built up. So I'm read that more as a devotion. And then I'm listening to We Over Me by Kadeen and DeVal Ellis. You know who that is?
Yeah.
Very good.
Cutest couple ever.
They're so funny, but they are both very wise.
Yeah.
Very, very good Audible book.
Love it.
What are you doing?
I'll put that on my in my library. Currently listening to Will. And my physical book is Atomic Habits, which was recommended to me by a friend. And
Oh, I never heard of that.
Atomic Habits is supposed to like break bad habits or like shift your mentality on how to correct things that you consider bad habits. I love when a book opens up and grabs your attention. It did that. I was just like, oh, this
especially
is
if you reading it when it's so many distractions, it gotta like draw you in.
For sure.
Okay. Anyway, what is it? Physically?
Yes.
Mentally?
Physically. So, as we know, I love my body. I'm cool.
As we know.
I'm cool. I'm cool in the skin I'm in. However, you know, I did have a working out goal of 300 workouts this year, and I've been slacking. I have not been doing anything. Anything. And I don't know what that's rooted in. I just don't feel like it. There is no what it's rooted in. But I would like to get into yoga. Le'Aaron and my friend Alana and even my cousin stuff, they all do yoga. Tennille does yoga. And my excuse for not getting into yoga is because I'm not that flexible of a person, which doesn't make sense because that's what yoga is supposed to help with. One of the things is flexibility. Alana did recommend to me to watch some YouTube videos and start it at home first before coming to classes. So that's probably going to be the next like physical thing that I get into. But
one thing about you is that you're strong and you have to be strong for yoga. So I think where the flexibility might be a little less, the strength will kick in.
Yeah.
I do not like yoga.
You've tried it?
I used to do it. I did it for like when I worked out all the time in my routine.
Yeah.
I did not. And it's because it does remind you how strong you're not. Flexible, not, that's whatever, but you have to be strong to do yoga. That's why people really do lose weight. when they're doing it.
Le'Aaron is dropping the pounds. He's like unrecognizable right now. Like, you go, boy.
Skinny-head little boy.
Traveling across the seas in the Mediterranean and Greece and living his best life. I can't wait to have him on the show. Like, I just can't wait.
Excellent human being.
He is a superb human being. How are you doing physically?
I'm gonna need to take better care of myself. Let's just say that.
Okay. We're gonna leave it at that.
We're gonna leave it at that.
Okay, I'm gonna go with emotional. I would say, pleasantly surprised with myself emotionally. Like, I have a handle on it. I got a good grip on my emotions, and as we know, because I always mention it on the show, and I'm not even gonna say recently anymore. I don't feel like it's a recent breakup. It's time. So much time has passed. It's been almost 6 months.
That's still kind of recent.
It's still kind of recent, but when you compare it to the first month, second month, third month,
That's
when
true.
you're struggling, no, I'm good. But I think emotionally, like, you know, when you're going through that process, you'll see things that reminds you of that person, and you almost obsess over it and obsess over what they're doing. I don't have those thoughts as frequently anymore, if at all. Like, matter of fact, if one of those thoughts, or if I see something that reminds me, it catches me off guard. Like, oh, this is still kind of a thing for me, but I feel so healthy in that aspect. Like, okay, this is what it feels like and looks like to actually be in a position and able to say, I have moved on. I'm on the other side of it. And so I'm very just happy about that, because when you are going through that, you just feel like
It'll never end.
you about to die. And you're not.
I haven't had that feeling in a long time, but I remember what it feels like. That's how strong. I'm talking 10 plus years. I haven't felt the weight of a breakup, but I remember just the draining feeling that you get. And when you do get to the other side, it's like, oh, and it's like a aha moment.
Like, you can breathe.
Yes. So,
and I love what you told me recently when I did have one of those moments, and I felt almost disappointed in myself for having that. Like, come on, girl. And you were like, you have to understand it. That is something that you had to grieve. And when you think about the type of grief that you have when you lose somebody, that never goes away.
Yeah.
And so, of course, obviously, it's not the same as somebody passing away, but it's still a form of
you
grief.
can feel like it.
Yeah, and it can feel like, and I almost feel like it's worse because that person is like alive, but there's, and so I like that you always extend me grace and remind me that it's okay.
Yeah. And I think it's good. It's good to say, oh, I'm still in touch with what I actually feel. And it just humanizes the experience, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Emotionally, I think I've been a little more emotional than normal.
Okay.
And that's just due to the times. Like, Terrence's dad, it would have been 6 years since he passed away, which also is the 7th year of, TJ. And then there's, of course, always John Boy. And I think John Boy is so heavy because so many people are all dealing with, like, when you just hear about kids not wanting to live and feeling like this is the end of the road, and that's like it's like a layered blanket over our youth right now of people feeling hopeless. And so I'm often reminded of it, and so my heart is just heavy about it in general. It's something I pray about and for all the time, because I do believe it's bigger than the kids. It's like almost like a spiritual battle right now, just with our youth and the attack that's on them because of the greatness that's coming up. Like, these kids is not for none. Like, these kids are going to be amazing.
Yeah.
They already are, but the adults that they would be, can you imagine? It's going to be epic. So of course evil will want to disrupt that and take that out, and so that has been like heavy on me, which makes me emotional. It's just a ripple effect. But sorry I wasn't that happy, but that's just the real truth.
That's okay. Switching gears. We got some more upbeat to talk about.
Yes. So I wanted to ask you, me and Marcy was talking the other day, and we were just talking about love, and we were talking about romantic love, and how the love that you got or received as a child affects the relationships and the way that you view love. And then from there, it affects how you love others and then how you love your kids. So I just kind of want to go through that scenario. I got a couple questions for you, girl.
No.
A couple questions that we can both answer.
Okay.
But just generally speaking, how do you define love?
This is always such a loaded question. Not just for me, I think for everybody, because I feel like it's so difficult to define. Whereas, you know, a lot of people just feel like it's a feeling. So I could think of some descriptors, but I did tell you when we had that conversation, I think it's easier for me to define what love is not and what it doesn't look like to me. So I know that love is not prideful or harmful or and then I'm having trouble even with the things that I'm saying right now, because those things do exist in love. They do. So
that's why this is so deep.
It's complex, but I do know for a fact, I can confidently say that love is safe. Love is safety.
That's a good one.
Even if there are moments within your love for somebody that you don't necessarily feel safe, when it all comes back down to the root, it's safe. It's a safe landing.
Yes.
And so that would be my like primary definition of it. And if it's not safe at the core, I would not, in my personal experience, say that it's love.
When you are in this world and you're interacting with people, you identify if somebody loves you or as if you feel safe with them.
Yes. If I feel safe with them, if I can be myself with them, if it's reciprocated. I think that's a big thing too. You can love somebody with your whole heart, but if they don't reciprocate it or feel the same way, it at least at the bare minimum is not a mutual love. I think about the people that I surround myself with, the people in my family, the people I call friends, and I love them so deeply. I love y'all so deeply that sometimes the word love doesn't feel like enough. And in turn, I feel like that's what love is, that indescribable, deep connection, soul connection that you have with somebody. You just want to see them do well. You just want to see them flourish. You just want to express how you feel about them. It's just an undeniable adoration. And so
I agree.
One thing I told Bianca recently was that when I leave here, because it's going to happen to us all, I don't want anybody to ever wonder or question how I felt with them. So that's why I'm so big on giving people their flowers. And people like to say I'm a good writer when I'm like posting about somebody for their birthday or otherwise. And oftentimes I'm like, okay, I'm doing too much, or you know what I mean? Like I'm always trying to express how I feel about somebody, but I don't care. I don't care if somebody's annoyed with that. I don't care. If I have that feeling in my body to express the way I feel about somebody, even if it's randomly, I'm going to do it. Because when I leave, you never going to wonder how I felt about you.
I don't wonder. I know.
Very good.
I agree with that. And to spin off of that, I'm going to say what I feel like I identify as love, or when I can't identify that there's love, and then how I show love, because I feel like sometimes they might not line up. They should, but sometimes they don't line up. For me, I feel like I don't know where it's found, but there's a Bible scripture that says perfect love cast out all fear. And so when I think of love, and that kind of goes along with safety, I think of not being afraid, and not just not being afraid like that something's going to happen to you, but not being afraid to be yourself, not being afraid of if how they are going to react to you. Because even if it's not the best reaction or the greatest reaction, when there's love there, it's a safety, kind of like you said. And so it's like, I'm free to be who I am. I can completely relax and let go of any fears that might hinder me from receiving your love and from giving it. But along with that, because we are just such complex people, I do think that you can be loved and give love, but still have those, I guess toxic traits that disrupt something that could feel perfect or free or safe. And so I don't think that when you are afraid, that means that you're not loved. Does that make sense? I feel like that was a mouthful.
It was a mouthful, but I feel like talking about this is always going to be a mouthful. But you did say something that sparked something within me. Do you feel like you can love somebody else without first loving yourself?
I don't know. I say not in a healthy way. I feel like when that happens, it's more of I would call it a trauma bond, or them feeling a void, or what you believe to be a void. And as much as that person loves you, you'll never fill up. Like your cup will never run over, because there's so many holes in it that need to be patched up with the love that you have for yourself. So I think that it can exist, but because I'm just the reason I'm so hesitant and just like tripping over my words is because it's a very bold thing to tell somebody that they're not in love, or that they're not loving, they're not being loved, or that they're not giving love, because I think that it's so dynamic. And so I would not blanket it with saying that, but I do believe that what people identify as love is often not.
Got you. One thing we didn't say that needs to be said is God is love.
Oh yeah.
And forgiveness is love. And even if somebody within your love hurts you over and over, because that's what love is, it's what it can be, do you have the ability to get up at the end of the day and find forgiveness for that person the way that God loves us and forgives us, even when we don't deserve it?
Just being honest, I feel like God is and Jesus is a really, really high level expectation to put on ourselves. Like that is that top tier. And I feel like as humans, we can work towards achieving that, but I don't know that we could ever really reach that. Even like the love I have for my kids, God loves them more. Mm-hmm. And like the scripture, 1 Corinthians, love is patient, love is kind, it keeps no record of wrongs, it does not, all of that other stuff that I don't remember. Maybe we'll post it right here or something. I don't know. But I feel like all of those things as human beings, we naturally do. Even with our kids, you did something, you finna get in trouble later, because I'm keeping a record of how you've been acting. Mm-hmm. And that's going to affect how, we go forward. That doesn't mean I don't love you. Mm-hmm. So it's just hard for me to even like put myself in the rankings with God. Like I know that that's what we strive to be, but I don't know. There are conditions. As much as we might want it for our love to be unconditional, there's conditions with humans. Yeah. And I think that's okay. I don't think it's bad.
I agree with you. And also I like the word that you use, strive. Like even if it's unattainable to ever love the way that Jesus loves us, that's the goal. And that's something you can reference every day when you like, okay, I love this person. Did I show my love in these ways today? Right. So
getting deep on them.
With that being said, because I know you mentioned how you love your kids, what experiences do you feel like you've had in or out of love, just in life in general, which have impacted the way that you mother your children or how you love them?
Ooh. Well, this isn't, it's a double-edged sword. So as you know, my very first experience being a mom, I lost my son at 9 months pregnant. He was stillborn. I had to still deliver him. And so I was in the hospital. I had that experience. I had to deliver my baby, and then we went home with no baby. Mm-hmm. And so that was a very traumatizing event. And, almost to the point of where you feel like when you leave, you don't even want to have no more kids. You don't even want to try again. But I got pregnant, 2-3 months later? Mm-hmm. And so I got pregnant with Case 2-3 months later. When he came, me and Terrence both, we had a lot of fear and a lot of love. But I think sometimes that fear overlapped or intermingled with the love. And so we were very, 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 very protective, and we still kind of are. But also, and that's the bad part of the sword. But on the good side, it really made us be so intentional with his life, with Case's life and with Tula's life. And we don't cut any corners. We are very particular. We are very intentional about everything. Everything is thought through. Everything is talked about. And I think though events like that can either make you and your spouse or whoever you're co-parenting with either fall apart as people, or it can make you stronger. And I feel like in this particular instance, it made me and Terrence stronger as a unit, and also stronger as parents for Case and Tula, because one thing we 99% agree upon is those children and what's best for them, and making the sacrifices, and just making sure that they know that they are safe, almost to a fault. Because I notice things in them where they're very, very cautious, as when I notice other kids, even between Case and Charlie, like Charlie might be more adventurous to do something. Case might be like, well,
yeah.
I don't know. And so in that way, I wish that we would have not done it so much. But at the same time, I feel like our experiences made us who we were, and God knew. And so I don't know how that's going to help him now, but we want to be better moving forward. And so just always striving to be better. But yeah, what about you?
Well, before I talk about me, I want to take the time to say that, first of all, let's just acknowledge TJ, because I love him. We love him. Long live TJ. Forever. Never forgotten. And even when we talk about how many kids you have, I know you always say 3. Mm-hmm. We always say 1 heavenly and 2 here on earth. And so I really want to commend you and Terrence. Like you said, it either makes you or breaks you. And I feel like y'all took them lemons and turned it into lemon meringue pie, and y'all have been made better for it. That's my sister saying. She be bypassing lemonade. She goes straight for the pie, which I love. And y'all are amazing, excellent parents, so intentional, so hands-on. I love that, because I'm not like that. I can be, but that's not the parenting style that I would describe that I have. But when I see that y'all are doing things like that, it sparks something in me. There are days where I won't even hear from you, and then I'll hear from you at like 9:30 at night, and you like, we were painting, we were doing activities, we were doing homework, we were doing baths, we were doing all of this, and like, you're so intentional with that. And I love the way that you parent your children. And
thanks. I'm about to cry, but I don't. That means a lot.
Yeah, I admire parents like that. Stuff is another one. Like, she don't play about her. Leah is just like, you wake up every day, no matter how tired you are, and you have that intention. That's the type of parent. It's a new show on something. I don't know if it's Hulu or whatever.
The parent test.
The parent test.
Yes.
It's so awesome to watch. It also sheds a light that if you have love at the core, no matter what your parenting style, and you know what I mean, like, do what works for your family.
Yes.
Your parenting does not have to look like
there's no better parenting style.
Yes.
It's what's best for your kids and loving them kids. I agree. That's the same message I got from watching that show.
Yeah, me too.
And that I'm a little helicopter-y.
Oh, that's okay.
Which one did you identify with?
Oh, I wish I could remember the names of it. There was New Age, I think, was one of them. And then what was the
Free
one?
Range?
I think it was Free Range. The ones that lived on like the farm.
Yes.
I think.
No, that was natural parenting. Free Range was the ones that were in a trailer and they just drove around. They lived in a trailer and they.
I could be that, if I could be that. But which one was the one?
I would love that.
I don't know what their nationality was. They looked a little brown, but the parents that had the kids just running around. But remember, the challenge was like, don't open the door. And they kids was like, nah. Like,
that was New Age.
That was New Age? Mm-hmm. Yes. I think that's the one I kind of identify most with, because I think for my kids, I try not to be... I think I'm very cautious of turning them into traumatized people. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want and I know it's inevitable. You know what I mean? We've all been had our fair share of experiences.
Everybody got childhood trauma.
Everybody has childhood trauma. None of our parents were perfect. You know what I mean? But I have that, like, even when I yell at them and spank them, which rarely happens, especially with Avery now that he's grown. But there have been moments where I have punished them or disciplined them, and it eats at me way more than it eats at them. I might have to go in the bathroom and cry about it. Like, I don't want them to feel bad. Even if they're being disciplined or like, I know what I'm doing is good for them, I don't ever want them to feel bad.
Yeah.
Like they're not good enough, or like they did something wrong. And so I feel like I could be a little loosey-goosey in that aspect and like give passes. Like, I'll talk to them, of course, but I don't think I ever come down so hard on them. And I was talking to Lauren the other day. We were talking about whoopings and belts. And like, we was like, what the hell was wrong with our parents? Like, and like how our generation, you don't hear about that. Like our generation's using belts. She like, what's going to become of our kids? I'm like, it's going to be a bunch of criminals running around here. I don't know what's going to become of them. But I do know one thing. They're not going to have that physical trauma. Like, they're not gonna, I don't know,
they're not gonna have that fear. I think the millennial generation, I'm just speaking for us, we want our kids to do what's right because it's right, not because they scared they're gonna get a whooping when they get home. So I think there's a balance with that. You should have a little bit of reverence, respect, even fear for your parent and what they gonna think, and that's your point of reference. But at the same time, that inside voice, that core part of you, I want that to be good.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what you are saying. Like,
yeah. And I love that. I think our generation has more resources and visibility into other ways of doing things. And we know that talking works, and there are other methods that you can use in your parenting besides physical abuse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I think I would definitely identify with free range and, do what you want. And it's okay to skip a day of school for a mental health break, a ditch day. Like, I don't know. But I definitely, even though I don't know how this is coming off, but my kids are scared of me. One look.
They definitely
and they know. And I think it's a blessing in general just to have good people, good human, good kids who have sense. And so not everybody can say this. So I must be doing something right. But
you definitely are. One thing I love that you do for your kids is create experiences for them since they were little. And it's like, even if they ain't gonna remember, like Charlie's first Biggie birthday party, like that was an experience, and she will always be able to look back on those pictures and photos. And then just Avery, like us going trick-or-treating and he was a shark. Like, I know that's normal, but to me those are experiences and you created memories, and I feel like a lot of them they remember, and I got to be a part of a lot of those experiences. And so I just hope that you continue to stay rich so you can.
I hope so, because my huge thing that I want them to be able to do is travel the world. Like, I want them to know that there's life outside of Chicago.
Your little world.
We live in this tight little bubble, and it's so much more to explore and so much more to see. I will go broke trying to take my kids somewhere, like spend my last dollar just to immerse them in a different culture around different people. And so that's one thing I definitely want to do. I have a goal over the next year or two to take them internationally. I was just telling a friend I have to apply for their passports, but we going too. Come on,
apply for us too.
Come on.
We doing a family trip.
Come on.
I'm ready. So now that we've talked about our kids, I want to I know we talked about love in general, but I think the most controversial topic is the romantic love and what that looks like now today, and for you and for me, and maybe versus like when you were younger, or well, I don't know. I don't really know what question I want to ask, to be honest, but I just think it's a topic to be discussed. Hello? I say hello.
Oh, man.
Do you love somebody right now? I'm just
I feel so on the spot. Do I love somebody?
Romantically, in case you were.
I wouldn't say that I love somebody.
Okay.
I'm being boring?
No,
I'm giving the political
honest.
answers.
No, I like it. That's honest. I mean, I was just asking because earlier today you was like, when I feel safe. So I was just wondering.
I feel very safe. Safe enough to be myself. Safe enough to...
Oh, sorry.
Kristen. Why would you just body roll like that?
I just felt it.
I feel safe enough to be open to the possibilities. I don't think I have fears when it comes to exploring this road. I will say, though, on the other side of that, I have trauma and fears on this road, which maybe prevents me from being a clear communicator with him about how I feel, because these things kind of still pull at me and tug at me and instill a little bit of fear. However, I do know that if I did talk to him about some of the ways that I felt, I believe that it would be well received and it would be a safe place to do it. I'm just not there yet.
You asked earlier about loving yourself. And so what does that look like? What does that look like to put you in a position to be able to receive love from anybody else?
Yeah. I think my holes have been plugged. A lot of them, maybe there's still a couple, but a lot of those holes that were allowing my love to seep out and allowing things that shouldn't have been come in have been plugged, truly. And I love that it's not just something I'm saying. It's truly something I'm feeling and like living out every day. Sometimes those things shock me, and it could be something so small. They shock me, though. They catch me off guard, like, oh, okay, girl. Oh, you really love yourself. You really putting yourself first. You are taking part in the direction that your life is going, and not just giving that power to somebody else to say, okay, I want to be with you. No, I want to be with you. Like that's where it is. Like playing an intricate role in where my life is headed, and not just letting whatever happen.
Yes.
I have a lot of intentionality when it comes to that, and I'm just living. I don't know. I'm just living. I was going to say I don't have a lot of expectations, but I think it's the opposite. I have expectations.
Yes.
Now. I manifest things. I'm writing things down. I'm expectant of what's coming to me when it comes to a romantic relationship. I'm not just sitting by the wayside like,
whoever will talk to me.
Yeah. If it happens, it happens.
Nah.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. I don't know. We'll see how it pans out.
My favorite thing about you in this season is your joy.
Yeah.
And I feel like people who may not have known you intimately would say you were always a joyful person.
Yeah.
I think you were always a smiley, happy, loving person. But the joy that comes from the inside out is something new. And so that is one thing I truly admire.
Yeah. Thank you for pointing that out, because that's another thing I want to talk about on a future episode is when you are in I'll just use the word toxic relationship, you go out your way to hide those things from people and to convince yourself that it's not so bad. And one thing I realized looking back is that I isolated myself a lot from people, from my mom particularly. I be feeling like I got to talk to my mom about things before she hears it on the show, because she's sensitive about that. But I realized I wasn't spending as much time with my mom. And even if I was seeing her or going around her, I was quick to just go home or not spend too much time in her presence, because she knows me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want her to see me and to call me out like, nah, it's something ain't right in you or in your eyes. And like during that time, I just could not face her.
Yes.
And so, it's easy to present like you're this happy, fun loving person because you care about what things look like and what you're going through behind closed doors. You're so shameful of them. You don't want people to know. But that's not where I'm at anymore. And it just feels good. It feels freeing. It feels happy. It feels healthy. It feels like I can show up for my kids the very best version of myself. And I don't have to hide anymore. So that's where I'm at.
Woo, girl. I think that is why you went on that trip too. I feel like it was an exacerbation of the love you have for yourself and doing something kind for yourself.
Yeah.
And you were just so relaxed and so joyful anyway. And so I was just so happy for you during that time.
It was truly a representation, I think, for me of what life can be if I want it to be that way, and not overthinking things or overanalyzing and just doing. I'm an impulsive person anyway, but it was impulsivity, is that a word? Impulsiveness aside, it was definitely a very intentional thing that I declared that I wanted to do. I was relaxed mentally. I just felt good.
True, your body just was like, oh, this is what rest feels like. This is what safety feels like.
It was awesome.
The last thing I want to say about love is a feeling, and it's both and an action word and a choice. And the one thing I will say is that I've loved Terrence Dean obsessively since I was 15 years old. And now those feelings don't feel like you did when they did when you were 15. They feel different because we have a life together. But more after you get married, more after the honeymoon phase fizzles out, more after you really get to know the person that you're with, love becomes an action word. It becomes a choice. It becomes something you have to be intentional about. And you should still have those feelings, because I feel like sometimes people separate it like, oh yeah, those feelings gonna go away, they never gonna come back. That's not true. You should have the times where you have to maybe like give a little extra effort loving, but also you should indeed feel like you love the person that you are with. That is my 2 cents.
And I think one thing that you say all the time is, I not only love my husband, but I like him. Like, that is my friend.
Yes.
And I love the different
Friendship.
dynamics. Yeah.
That's huge.
Of that love.
Think about how you treat your best friend.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I have to do that, by the way. Like, when I'm mad at him, I'm like, okay, if Marcy did this, how mad would I actually be? How would I handle it?
Yeah.
And it literally, I have to like shift the way that I'm treating him, because the closest person to you always gets it bad. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. How about we do some shout outs?
Okay.
All right, I'll go first. I want to shout out my childhood best friend, Alana. Man, Alana, why am I about to cry already? Kristen.
It's okay.
That was my girl. I was 13 years old. I was one of the only black kids in our predominantly white school. And I feel like, looking back, a lot of the white kids made a mockery of me. And being so young and mature, I kind of fed into that. Like, I took on the persona that they literally, like, I can remember one of the boys being like, "What's up, girl?" to me. Like, I don't know.
What?
It was a thing. It was a thing.
God.
And like, they would switch the way they talked, like, "What up, home girl?" And I was just like, "What up?" Like, I don't know. It wasn't like, "Oh, are you saying it to me like that because I'm black?" No, it wasn't a thing. I was just like, okay. I feel like at that time, Alana was one of the only white girls in the school that didn't do me like that. And she just saw me, and honestly, I'll be really honest. Alana was a popular girl. She was on the cheerleading team. She was beautiful. She is beautiful, but she was beautiful. She was the golden girl, and she may not have had that confidence in herself. It wasn't, she was humble. It wasn't like she knew or anything, but Alana was the it girl of middle school, and I just wasn't. Oh man, was I never. Like, my glow up didn't happen till far into adulthood. After college, I would even say, but
No.
Alana was that girl. And she had friends and people who liked her and clung to her, but she chose me. Aww. She chose me as her friend, and I chose her as my friend. And it was one of the first friends. that I felt like was family and that I really love. And that girl has been through so much more than any one human being should have to go through. And she has just flourished through it and grown, and she's a mom of 4. And I got emotional. I went to her daughter's birthday party the other day. I got emotional just looking around at the life that she's created. When we were younger, people would ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I would have all these psychotic occupations. Like, I wanted to be a monkey trainer or an artist, or I don't know. I wanted to be everything at some point. But the one thing, trainer. Yeah, I wanted to be a monkey trainer. The one thing that remained consistent with Alana was that she wanted to be a mom. Like, I want to be a mom. And now she is. She has 2 boys, 2 girls. I'm gonna flash the picture of them on the screen, even though she be trying to act private and inconspicuous. But I love her. I love you. You are beautiful. You are an amazing person. I'm so proud of you, not only for what you've endured, but just because you're you and you're enough. And unfortunately, me and Alana drifted apart in our early adulthood, and life took her this way. Life took me that way. Recent years, she's lived in Michigan, and she recently just moved back to Chicago. So we've been able to see each other, and our friendship is just like developing. We're developing a new adult friendship. Like, we ain't kids anymore, but it's such a blessing. I know you talk about this with Lillian, to have a 20-year friendship. A lot of people don't have that, and you just mean so much to me. And yeah, my white friend, my girl. Which is funny. I want to say one more thing. I could talk about her forever, but Alana was like definitely more cultured than I was when we were little. Like, she would put me on to, I remember when we were kids, one of her favorite songs was Somebody Rockin' Knockin' the Boots. And like, I was like, who is that? And like, she knew all the black stuff. But it wasn't like she was trying to, like, you know, appropriate. She's just that girl. She know what's good.
Just what was it? That's what it was.
Yeah, that's just what it was. But I love her so much, and I'm so happy to have the opportunity to just boast about her.
That was great. Yeah. I love her too.
Yeah,
I should have went first.
I know I could keep going, but I won't. I won't. Who
well,
you got?
I'm gonna shout out because it's recent, and she just at the conference was like, when the next episode coming out, and that's Jordan Howard. Jordan is the owner of Juice du Jour, which is a natural juicing company that makes amazing juices. And she could come on one day and talk about all the health benefits. But I want to talk about who she is as a woman. First of all, she's very beautiful, and she's just a kind, smart, intelligent woman who doesn't really, I don't think she knows just how bomb she is, and maybe she does, but when I see her, the humility that she has is very apparent. And we got a chance to just chit chat, and I feel like I just get her, and I feel like she gets me. And we're both the oldest girls of a bunch of girls, and so I feel like we connect in that way. And so, Jordan, just thank you for always being kind. Thank you for being you. I love you, and shout you out, girl.
Yeah, I love that shout out. Jordan has the most beautiful smile, and I feel like she's one of those people where you feel the genuine authenticness just radiating off of her.
100%.
I also feel like she's her mother's child.
Yes.
Like, when you come from greatness, you're destined to be greatness. And so, love y'all. That was an awesome shout out.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We are going to try to be a little bit more consistent for y'all. Please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to this video, and share. And we will see y'all next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Everyday girls, where you at? Holla if you hear me. Everyday girls, strike a pose now if you with me. What we gotta say, man.